Hey artists, this is Miss Reardon. Today I want to give you a little lesson on how to use one of my favorite art websites for digital art, which is called Sketchpad.io. Now, if you are in fourth or fifth grade, or maybe a few other students, you might have used this website with me before. So I'll also make a video of like Sketchpad Advanced with some tips and tricks for cool things you can try once you already know how to use it. But if this is your first time using Sketchpad, this is a great place to start. So, one of the nice things about Sketchpad is it works on lots of different digital devices. I'm using my Chromebook today, so your screen might look a little different if you're on something else. But whatever you're on, you can search for Sketchpad.io, and you want to click on the one at the top that says 5.1. That's the newest version. And if it's the first time you've used it on your computer, it may take a second to load. You might need to be patient. But when it does load, you'll see something that looks a little bit like this, or it may look like this the first time. Now, the first thing you're going to need to do is find your art tools. And you find those by clicking on this little symbol in the top left corner that looks like art supplies. When you click on that, it pops out a box that has lots of different drawing tools. And the thing is, I can't show you all of them today, but part of the fun of Sketchpad, I think, is experimenting and trying some new things and seeing what you get. So I'm going to show you where to find things, and then you can give it a try yourself. So when you want to find a drawing tool, you click on this little box, and then you want to click on the yellow box in the corner. Your box may have a different picture in it depending on what you've used last, but I click that box and then I click the picture right underneath it that matches it. And that will make a whole bunch of drawing tools pop up. Some of them probably sound pretty familiar, like you can draw with a pencil, you can draw with a crayon, you can draw with a paintbrush, and some of them are a little bit new and different, so you'll have to check them out. But whatever you're drawing with, on the bottom of this toolbox, there are different things you can use to change the way it looks. Like I can make my paintbrush bigger or smaller. I can change how blurry it is. I like it to be a little bit sharper. So you can play around with those sliders. And you can also click on the black box in order to change the color that you're using. So it could just be a solid color that you're drawing with. And I don't know if you're like me, but I think it's a little hard to draw with my mouse. But it's one of those things that the more you practice it, the better you're going to get. So you can choose different colors. And also, I really love this, you can click one of these three boxes after you click on the color selector, and you can draw with, instead of a color, you can draw with a pattern like this. Whoa, so cool. So you'll have to check out some of those. But you might start to get a picture, kind of like I have, where you've got lots of things going on and maybe you don't want to keep all of them. You want to delete some stuff. So there's more than one way to delete things, but the way I usually like to do is to use the backspace button. But the problem is I can't click on things right now. Like if I want to click on this little black line, I can't click on it because when I do, it just starts making more rainbows. That's not what I want. So if you ever want to delete something or make it bigger or smaller or move it around, you have to make sure you're using a tool called the selector tool. Now, the selector tool is this little arrow up in the top corner above the paintbrush. When I click on that, now it's going to let me click on parts of my picture and move them around. I can use the sides of the box to make them bigger or smaller, and I can hit the backspace button and delete them. So if you're ever trying to delete something or move something and it's not working and it's getting frustrating, double check that you are on the selector button. I do that all the time. I'm trying to move something and it doesn't work, but I'm not on the selector. So that's one way to delete things. But if you want a whole new paper, like you've got lots of things going on like I do, then it would be better to click on this little plus sign in the bottom corner. When I click on that plus sign, I can just get a whole new piece of paper. And I can choose different backgrounds, but for now, I'm just going to get a blank one and hit the red create button. Da-da, and that makes just a totally new piece of paper. So, like I said, there's way too many drawing tools for me to show you all of them right now, but I will show you one more that I really love. This one called Spirograph is also really cool, but I'll let you check that out on your own. But I really love this one called Mirror Brush. Mirror brush is awesome because it lets you draw with a symmetrical design. So you can make these really awesome color changing patterns and pictures. So cool. So you can experiment with that yourself. Sorry, it's so addictive, isn't it? And you can also see what some of the other tools do. Now, sometimes you can use this little undo button. For some reason on my Chromebook, it doesn't work. So if you see that and it's not working very well for you, remember, I like to use the selector tool where I make sure I'm on the selector arrow. I can click on parts of my picture and I can delete them. So you can experiment with those things yourself, but I want to show you just a few more tools that you might want to know where to find them. This symbol right here is a pretty helpful one because this is the fill button. And if I want to fill my whole background with a color or a pattern, I would want to choose that because when I click on it, it fills the whole background all at once, which is pretty nice. In the advanced Sketchpad video, I'll also show you another trick you can do with the fill button. You're probably going to want to use this symbol right here, the little emoji. That's the clip art symbol. So when I click on that, the first one that pops up is always a cow, but you don't have to use the cow. When you click on him, you get a whole library of different pictures that you can add to your art. And if you're looking for something in particular, you can type it in the box and it will help you to search for something more quickly. Ooh, that's really big. I want to make that a little smaller. So remember, if I want to change the size of something or move it, I can't just click on it. I have to go to the selector arrow first. So now I can click on it. I can move it. I can use the corners to click and drag to make it smaller and whatever else I want. Now, you might want to add words to your picture, and you do that with this next symbol right here, the T for text. When I click on the T for text, I can click in my picture, and I can add words. I can highlight them to change their color or the font or something like that. There's lots of different fonts that will pop up. And remember, if I want to move them and it's not working, you see I'm not on the selector right now. And sometimes I do that too. So now I can move it around and I can make it bigger or smaller as long as I'm on the selector button. And the last symbol I'll show you before I show you how to save is this little star right here. The star is a lot like the clip art, except it's just kind of basic shapes. So if I click on the star and I click on its twin right there, you see I can add things like triangles and squares and kind of basic shapes. And if I want to delete them, then I go to my selector, click it, and hit the backspace button. Now, when you make something pretty cool, you're going to want to save it, I bet, especially because I would love for you to share your artwork with me that you make. I'll show you how to do that in the advanced video. But before you do that, you have to be able to save it. And your screen might look a little different than mine if you're not on the same kind of Chromebook. But on my screen, when I click this button right here, it's the third one down. A box pops up with lots of choices, and I don't need to worry about all of them. I'm just going to click on Save at the top and the red download button, and it goes straight into my Google Drive. Okay? And if you want to open up one of the things that you've saved later, you can do that too. You can click on the one in between the plus sign for new and the save symbol. That's a little open symbol, so you can open something that you have already saved. Pretty cool, right? So I hope you get a chance to play around with it, experiment, see what you can make. And after you do that, come back and watch my second video of Advanced Sketchpad, where I'll give you some ideas for other things you might want to try. And I'll also show you some tips and tricks for how to solve problems, some questions that people run into sometimes. So I'll see what I can do to answer those. Okay? Hope you have fun. Talk to you soon.